there, Carrie Rhoades here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me for another video. This is part 3 of my series featuring the Good Mix stamp and die set from Honeybee. Today I'm going to be adding in another stamp set that kind of goes with this bundle. It's called For the Record. It's a sentiment stamp set. It's awesome. I love that they have so many coordinating products to go with the Good Mix stamp and die set. Also, I'm going to be showing you some of my other favorite things. One of them is a background stamp called Graduated Dots from Fun Stamper's Journey. I love it. I use it all the time, and I'm using that with a fun product called PanPastels. These are artist quality pastels. They go on so smooth and so creamy, and they're in these giant pans. Like, these pans will last me forever. Anyways, I love them. I'm going to talk to you about them in the video. I'm going to be using them kind of 2 different ways, or a stepped up version. And also I am making 2 cards today. One is what I would like to call maybe a poodle skirt version of a card, and the other one's kind of a Harley Davidson version of the card. Same card, just a little bit different. Also, if you are new to my Stamp Set of the Month series, then you should know that I give away one of the cards I make in the video every week. So all you need to do is like and comment on this video below, and then you'll be entered in a drawing to win your favorite card. So comment below which card is your favorite, and then next week I'll announce the winner. Speaking of the winner, I'm giving away the card I made last week, one of the cards, to a lucky winner, and their name will flash across the screen right now. And I want to say congratulations. Thank you for watching my videos, and I will be in touch with you soon so that I can get your card out in the mail to you. So I think we should get started on today's creations and play with some PanPastels. I'm going to start this card with the Graduated Dots background stamp by Fun Stamper's Journey. Love this stamp. I use it so much. I'm inking it up with clear pigment ink and just laying the stamp on my glass mat and not worrying about mounting it on a block or anything. And I'll take my paper directly to that. I'm always holding one side of the paper with one hand while rubbing with the other hand to get a nice crisp image on my paper. I'm using PanPastels, like I mentioned at the top of the video. This is the lightest pink color that Fun Stamper's Journey offers. It's in the Confectionary Days set, and I'm picking it up with the soft sponge that comes with the kit. So I can easily rub that across my stamped image, and you can see that the PanPastel is darker when it goes across the area that's been stamped with that clear pigment ink. So it takes so little. Each time I'm touching my sponge, I'm just picking up a little bit. And then you can see the whole set here, but I've added 3 additional pans that come separately to that Confectionary Days set. And then I'm going to stamp the record player from the Good Mix stamp set, my stamp set of the month, and I'm stamping that onto a piece of bubblegum cardstock so it will match my background. And I'm using VersaFine Onyx black ink. This is a pigment ink that dries fast. I love this ink. It's like my new favorite black ink. So I'm going to ink this up and stamp it onto the pink paper that's been treated with an anti-static powder tool so that I can emboss this with clear powder. I'm going to stamp this 2 times just to build up that pigment ink and make sure everything is has a thick layer of ink on it. I like to do that when I'm embossing. So here we go with the clear powder, catching the excess in my coffee filter so I can easily pour that back in, and I will heat that up and melt it with my preheated heat gun. I like to heat it before I take it to the paper, prevents warping. And of course I will die cut that out with the coordinating die, and I'll hold it in place with a little purple tape, and I'll run that through my platinum die cut machine, and it has a nice clean line all the way around. So that's going to go on my background, but I need a sentiment. So I'm bringing in the For the Record stamp set that I mentioned also at the beginning of the video, a stamp set from Honeybee that coordinates with this Good Mix stamp and die set. I'm cleaning off or putting on some anti-static powder on my PanPastels. I was a little worried it was going to kind of pick up the PanPastel, so I just kind of pounced it on real gently, and it did okay. This is my first time embossing over a PanPastel background, so I was taking it easy, checking it out. and I'm stamping "For the record, you rock." And again, I'm going to emboss that, so I'm inking it up 2 times before putting on that clear powder and melting it with my heat gun. And it seemed to work really well. I don't feel worried about stamping and embossing over the top of a pan pastel background anymore. I'm so glad I tried it. So there's my sentiment, and then I'm going to mount my background onto a frame of black licorice cardstock. All I've done is cut the panel to be 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch bigger than my card front, and then I used a rectangle die to cut out the center so I'm not wasting all that cardstock, because I just like that really thin line of black all the way around. I'm going to mount my record player image with some foam squares. I really wanted this card to be a quick card, so I didn't want to have to do a lot of coloring. Honestly, picking out the colors to color this record player intimidated me a little bit, so I wanted to see if I could make a version of this card where I didn't have to do that. Now, I really wanted my record to stand out on this card, so I'm coloring over the top of it with clear Wink of Stella to give it some shimmer. So that really helped, but I felt like it wasn't quite enough. So I'm going to just think on that, and then you'll see what I add to it later on in this card. I'm mounting my card front onto a bubblegum card base that's 5.5 by 8.5 and scored down the middle at 4 1/4. So it's got a little bit bigger border all the way around for this layer. So that's glued in place, and then I decided it needed a little something extra, so I pulled out that microphone image from the Good Mix stamp set. I'm going to do the same stamping and embossing, but this time on some white cardstock. I thought I needed something with a little bit of a contrast. So using the VersaFine Onyx black ink and clear powder again, and then I'll heat set that to melt the powder with my heat gun. And I love to watch it melt. So fun. And then die cut that with a coordinating die. And here I thought it needed a little bit of color, so I pulled out a light gray marker from my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers just to color that in. I'm not doing any shading, just some real simple coloring. I'm going to mount this onto my card with some foam squares at the bottom, and then just some tape at the top because it will overlap that image that's already popped up. So you put some little tape on the top part, and that will help it to stick down to that already popped up image of the record player. Okay, so here we have the gemstones, and also comes with sequins pack from Fun Stamper's Journey, and it's called All the Things. I just love that name. I do use these all the time. The colors just seem to be able to go with anything. So it also has sequins of the same color, and they're just really fun. So I stuck on 3 of those in the pink, and then here's where I decided to step up the record player with some Journey glaze. So I'm going to add it to these buttons and to the arm on the record player, and I was still debating right here, should I put this on the whole entire record? Oh, I really wasn't sure if that would be just too much, but you know what? I decided to go for it. Then you'll know. How does the Journey glaze look on the entire record, or glossy accents, or whatever media you like to use? So I just went around circling the record, and then I went back and filled that in with the nozzle and just pressed out a little bit extra glaze as I needed it. And then you're just going to have to let this dry for a while, just a little while. All right, card number 2. Let's make a different version of this card. This time I am using 2 sets of pan pastels, the Party Pop pan pastels and the Rich Sorbet. So same exact thing. I'm inking up the Graduated Dots background stamp with clear pigment ink, stamping that onto whipped cream cardstock. I'm going to start with the lighter orange color that comes in the Party Pop pan pastels, and I'm going to cover the whole entire piece with this lighter orange, just as I did for card number 1 with the pink. And that will get me a base color. Then after that's full and got its color base, I'm going to bring in the darker color, which is kind of a rusty color from the Rich Sorbets, and then I will blend that up from the bottom, and I'm not going to go all the way to the top. And also I felt I picked up a little bit too much color, so you saw me wipe a little bit of it off on a scratch piece. Then I'm going to come back in with that lighter orange again and blend down from the top. So the top was looking a little yellowish to me, and I wanted it to be orange. So blended that, and I was so excited with the way that looked. But I wanted to add some black licorice silk. So I shook that up, and then I'm going to splatter it all over my card front. And I'm going to put way more than I think I need because I have so many elements going on the front of this card that I know a lot of that splatter will be covered up. So when this splatter dries, it has a metallic shimmer to it. Love it. All right, so let's stamp the record player and the microphone. We'll do that with the same black ink and clear powder. I'm using the Tangerine Fusion cardstock and whipped cream cardstock. And then I'm going to add a little shadowing with an orange zig marker on my record player. And then I'm going to color in a little bit of the microphone. I just felt like the white was a little too much. So I colored that in and then did the same light gray marker on that base as well. And then I have my images ready to go, or so I think. I added some more color to the microphone later. So I glued that onto the black frame, and then I'm picking out the sentiment and remembering here that I probably should have stamped my sentiment before I glued it onto the frame, but I made it work. So it's going to warp a little bit. I'm going to use some extra adhesive to glue it down. It'll be fine. So here you can see I prepped the paper with my anti-powder static tool, and you can see that powder on top of this darker color where you really couldn't see it on the pink one. So I need to be careful in cleaning that off so I don't wipe off any of the pan pastel that's not quite set. So I heat set that and melted the powder, and then I went over it with the sponge that I used for the darker color. I didn't add any of the pastel to it. It just helped clean off that anti-static powder tool. That's a mouthful. So many powders. And then I just used some tape runner, kind of a lot of tape runner, so I could stick that down really well since the bottom of the paper warped a tiny bit where I stamped the saying. Now you see this warping paper right here? That's because I had so much Journey Glaze on there and only used a few foam squares. So for this record player, I decided I would die cut a piece of fun foam that already had adhesive on one side to mount this orange record player to my card. That way when I glaze the record, it's not going to be able to warp as much because it's going to have a really sturdy base. So I'm sticking that on with double stick tape, and then I can peel off the backing because remember one side already had adhesive, and stick that down to my card at a little bit of an angle. I like that. And then I've got my microphone here, and this one I can move down a little bit further on my card because my sentiment is a little bit smaller. And here you can see I am adding more color with that light gray, coloring in the top of the microphone to give it a more authentic feel. Adding more of the rhinestones here from All the Things. And I love all the different shades of orange on this card. I am going to fill in that entire record with the Journey Glaze once again, just as I did on card number 1, and also the arm of the record player, just to really accent and highlight those two pieces. And that is card number 2. I hope that you've enjoyed these cards and see how you can use this set without having to do a lot of coloring, which I've done in the last 2 videos with the stamp set. And right here when I put these cards side by side, I realized the pink card needed to be colored in. So I'm using my pan pastels and a small soft tool to color in the bottom of that microphone. And it's just another way you can use your pan pastels. This tool also comes with the set. I will link all the pan pastels below for you so you can check those out from Fun Stamper's Journey. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you comment below which one is your favorite. I will raffle off one of these cards in next Monday's video, and you'll want to check it out so you can see if you won. If you have any questions about these cards, please let me know. I love to interact with you guys, and I hope that you will subscribe if you're new here so you can check out all my videos. I have them every week. Thanks so much and happy stamping. Bye-bye.